Wow, what a race it was. A little bit dull at some times, and the analysis majorly will be seen from Ferrari, McLaren, Mercedes. Red Bull has nothing to lose. They are just in it to just give much more frustration. And Red Bull and Mercedes have been bringing upgrades recently that are working, while Ferrari have been bringing upgrades that are taking them backward. Coupled with strategy issues for Ferrari, it's been crazy for Ferrari, and I think is a make or mar for them, but this year is already a mar one for them because it's not looking crazy. Congratulations to George Russell winning the Singapore GP, and this is his most dominant win in his career, and I think this is the start of a new dawn for him, and I hope he is able to hold it. And a very, very huge congratulations to Kimi Antonelli. So that comment, I've said it, this boy is a problem, and he showed how problematic it could be in that beautiful overtake he did on Charles Leclerc. But what can we say? Ferrari keeps heaping problems upon themselves, which I think in the long run, this would really determine where Ferrari should be. Because do Ferrari even know where they should be? I'm sure they don't know where they should be because they are confused. Let me start with Ferrari. Up until yesterday, qualifying, tire became their strategical problem. Ferrari knew their problem all through the season. They knew they need to get ahead, get onto the track, set the pace. Yeah, we know that sometimes when you allow the track to eat up, certainly there will be track evolution and you can get the best times. Why not fill your cars with enough fuel, then put them on a strategy that they can warm up twice, then eat it, or let them come out fast, and that is it. But Ferrari will do Ferrari things. Mercedes got it right, pinpointed, they put themselves out of pressure and did the right thing. Ferrari saw it when they were out, and Lewis Hamilton was doing very well in Singapore all through the weekend. Up until Q1, he was doing perfectly well. Was unable to improve because of the tire strategy in which they were putting themselves to. And it sounds crazy. The race pace was not there for them. Lewis Hamilton was able to do a two-stop right on the money, got on the soft tire, doing it right, lap 54, bam, no more brakes. From 6th, chasing for 5th, he was almost getting Kimi Antonelli. The brake failure got worsened. Boom, he had no brake again. Lost time from there. 2-3 laps, he was just coasting all through to end the race. And I'm like, what is wrong with Ferrari? We know the heat problem that track would give them, but what is wrong with them? Ferrari is a case to study. And it's just like Lewis Hamilton has just gone there to just put himself under a much more pressure than he would have thought he would put himself under. I don't even know what to say. This shows why Ferrari has not won. And I think every time Lewis Hamilton take a step forward in that Ferrari will drag him back 10 steps backward. That we've seen all through the season. Let's go to George Russell. George Russell, beautiful race. This is the second time he's starting ahead of Verstappen and is nailing it right. Because we know Verstappen will certainly come out with the elbows, but he didn't give Verstappen any chance to come out with any elbows this time. He was just his own elbows. He just got it out straight ahead, banging on the money, and he was out there doing great times, not giving Verstappen any chance to nothing. He did the job right, and from the news we are hearing yesterday, he's having a 1+1, which means he'll be having 2026 and 2027. 2027 plus 1 will be determined by his performance against Kimi Antonelli, because you can see Kimi Antonelli is going into the team. He's getting better, he's getting faster, and today we saw how he really performed. Lance Stroll, great job he did for his teammate. There are so many things Lance Stroll does for that Aston Martin team that we don't see. The only thing he could do today was to make sure he keeps his teammate in the point. His teammate came in 7th, though on the track it was 8th, but after the decision of Lewis Hamilton, black and white flag, Lewis Hamilton got a 5-second penalty and Alonso finished ahead of him. But the main thing for Aston Martin today, the major job was done by Lance Stroll, servicing that soft tire for over 30 laps, which in the head was a great one. Let's go to McLaren. McLaren, perfect job for McLaren. The best they could have gotten was the 3rd and 4th, because Singapore is a place in which it's difficult to overtake. Starting from their skirmishes from the beginning of the race, Lando Norris pushing his teammate Oscar Piastri almost into the wall. Why? Because Oscar Piastri made a mistake and Lando Norris was curious about getting ahead. Oscar Piastri trying to close him in. Both of them were close to Max Verstappen, that was binding his time to slow them down on turn 3 so that he can push. Now Lando Norris ran into the back of Max Verstappen, which made him push his teammate. But thank God, unlike a few years ago, the two Force Indians, that is Perez and Ocon on that turn were into the wall, but they were able to survive, fortunately. But we saw that the race pace today was for McLaren. Max Verstappen was able to back them out, push them out to the point in which George Russell was just coasting ahead, because if they've had that opportunity to run against George Russell, they would have put George Russell under pressure. But George Russell was just coasting. But if you look at it, I think critically, these drivers can race each other for McLaren is going to go kaboom. It's going to be a big one for them, because at this point, these drivers, I think they're already getting tired. They're already getting nervous. They are hungry, though they've won the Constructors' Championship. And at this point, I think there should be common sense in that team to tell them these guys should not put this competition under duress for themselves, because just one accident for those two drivers again in which they collide, the two of them are out of the race. Max Verstappen is totally in contention. Before things go haywire, I think the team should look at it and say, okay, fine, this is how we want to race. We can't take a risk. No more risk. Let us race like this and pull it in. Next year, we try something else. Aside from that, they might lose first and second position to Max Verstappen, or probably lose second position to Max Verstappen, which I think they would not want to. But congratulations to them winning the Constructors' Championship today. That is wrapped up. Now they can concentrate on the Drivers' Championship. But another major thing we saw with the papaya today was the pit stop issue. Lando Norris got his own pit stop done perfectly, but when it was for Oscar, it was woeful. And the same for Ferrari, and that has been on and on for this season. The first driver coming into the pit most likely will get his pit sorted out beautifully. The second driver will be awful, and that has happened a lot of time this season with McLaren. Ferrari had followed suit, but the only team that I think had been fine with that had been Red Bull and Mercedes. That's the top team. Great racing for Azerbaijan today. Pulled a decent and stunning performance today, himself and Alonso having some beautiful overtakes against themselves. And also, I think some track changes needs to be done to the Singapore GP to give them more racing advantage, because if the top drivers are in their own slipstream, they lose time, because every year when the top drivers are running back into the back markers, a lot of back markers squabbling, fighting in their own DRS, but when the top guys are in their own DRS, they are just swindling everywhere. So something is really happening. They need to do something about that. Then the heat, there's nothing they can do about that. He trained earlier today, and at the end of the day, the driver still finished exhausted, so there's nothing they can do about that. And funny enough, the track is closer to the ocean, seeing that barely there's nothing they can do about it. It's just the temperate condition of that area. But about the track, I think there are still some places on the track in which, it's a street track, you can, color B, you can do something about to make it more interesting. But those little things make the race less interesting. The two Williams had disqualification yesterday. I think they were from 12-13. Now Carlos Sainz had to start 18, while his teammate had to start from the pit lane outbound. But the disqualification was due to the legality of the rear wings. That was why they had to start from the back. This being said, but overall, the Singapore GP for me is a 6/10. For me, driver of the day was just right, and that is a well-deserved one from Fernando Alonso. Himself and Aja were the only drivers that were giving us action. The other ones in front were not giving us any action. It was only Kimi Antonelli that were only able to overtake. Did a go-karting overtake on Charles Leclerc, and that shows the mentality of Ferrari where they are. Ferrari now should know that they are the most lacking team presently in F1. Upgrades now working, and we've seen people move from Ferrari to other teams. We've seen personnel move from Ferrari to other teams performing beautifully well. But while they're in Ferrari, these guys are not making anything happen in Ferrari. So what is the problem? I think is a fundamental problem with Ferrari, that they have a head issue. They have a head issue. It is from the management. They need to deal with the management, because if they can sort it out, look at Andre Stella. He's performing beautifully in McLaren. He's staying in McLaren that brought positivity to McLaren. Ferrari is now looking like a midfield team. Because everything is making them look like a midfield team, and I hope next year with a new car entirely, new engine entirely, I think we should see something different. If we can have much of the contribution of the drivers from Ferrari, and they can change their working dynamics, we can see a lot of changes. And to Red Bull, Max Verstappen suffered all through this race. He suffered the gear shift, the turning was worse. There were times he was just losing track of what the drive should be, and that alone is spelling huge problem for them, because we've seen them brought upgrades. Even the front wing upgrades they brought to this track in Singapore looks better, but if they are making such mistakes and fine-tuning the car turning, the gear shifting, which we know they've had, I don't know if it is an unsolvable problem for them. Red Bull needs to bring their A game if they want to be in this competition. And the next 6 races of the season, starting from Austin in 2 weeks time, will start to be the beautiful ones. From there we move to Mexico, probably Brazil, come back to Las Vegas, now go to Qatar, and then in UAE. Is going to, different tracks, different orientation, different elevation, different things. So it's going to be interesting to see how these drivers, these teams are able to fix it. Now for McLaren, like I said earlier, it's only for them to set their mind on drivers championship. It's now for Red Bull to set their mind on how to frustrate McLaren and make it impossible for them, or make it difficult for them to win with levity. And to Mercedes, what they should be chasing right now is how to be second, because the second they are, the more funds, more money. And for Ferrari, what are they fighting for? I'm not sure Ferrari knows what they are fighting for, Sha. If they know what they are fighting for, they should know money is important, because if Red Bull overtakes them, they are going to be 4th. And if they are 4th, yes, they will still get extra 50 million they've always gotten. But is that enough? But now if they lose that, they are going to lose sponsorship, because those ones that are above them will get more chances of getting sponsorship than them next year. So Ferrari should have a focus on what they are fighting for now, except they lose it all. But what a great racing it was today. Ocon, I see you. Bierman, I see you. Those guys did a beautiful racing today. The Saubers were lost in action. And again, Tsunoda had his own problems today. Winding it down, I hope he's able to survive, hopefully. But I pray for Aja not to move up to Red Bull. But going into Austin, I think it's going to give us another great racing. Don't want to miss the race in Austin. I have a lot of shots for you. Thank you guys for always being here. If you've not subscribed, please press the subscribe button, follow, share the video. You guys have been our greatest inspiration in all these years. But know that I love you. Bye. Cheers.